Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Shong. Housing price in China is high. It is way high, mile high. An average 860 square feet apartment within Shanghai's inner ring road goes for upwards $886,000. In Beijing, the average cost of a home of this size is roughly $310,000. It is on par with the New York and Washington, D.C. housing price, but the typical salary in China is only 30% of the U.S. According to the International Monetary Fund's house price to wage ratio, China has 7 of the world's top 10 most expensive cities for residential property, all through the country's Tier 1, Tier 2, and even some Tier 3 cities. Housing prices are severely out of proportion with the income of the people who live there. In Xiamen, a coastal city with a hot property market, $300,000 for an apartment is normal, even though the minimum wage there is hardly $200 per month and the average wage is around $1,000 a month. Even for the city's middle-class residents who make between $1,200 and $5,000 per month, the price seemed prohibitively high. However, the people of China can afford to buy these extremely expensive properties. In fact, 90% of families in the country own their home, giving China one of the highest home ownership rates in the world. What's more is that 80% of these homes are owned outright, without mortgages or any other loans. According to Nomura, more than 20% of urban households own more than one home. With wages out of whack with real estate prices, how can so many people afford to buy so many houses? First, we have to think out of the box and understand where this market came from. 20 years ago, real estate market did not exist in China. I was born and grew up in China in the 70s. Urban housing was distributed by the workplace where you were employed. You could not buy or sell real estate. In mid-90s, Beijing pushed through a series of reforms. Residents were then given the option to purchase their previously government-owned homes at extremely favorable rates, and most of them made the transition to being property owners. China's real estate market was born. In 2010, 10 years later, it became the largest real estate market in the world. Second, when we talk about purchasing a home in China, you and I often think this is the same how we buy a home in America. You find a house and give an offer, negotiate with the seller, and settle with an attorney. Along the way, you will also need to secure a loan and a down payment. In order to qualify for a loan, you will need to ensure the bank you have enough income to cover the monthly mortgage payment and make sure you have good credit score. Usually, the bank will provide you a loan amount no more than 4 times of your annual income. Or put in other words, the debt-to-income ratio is no more than 43%. That is not how most people buy a home in China. In China, it most likely involves the entire familial and friend networks who financially assist each other in the pursuit of housing. There is a saying in China, 掏光6个钱包, empty 6 wallets. In order to buy a home, you will need to empty your parents' wallet, empty your paternal grandparents' wallet, empty your maternal grandparents' wallet, plus your spouse's parent, paternal grandparents, maternal grandparents. Total 6 wallets emptied. Then you would have enough down payment, which is usually 20% of the price if it is the first home. For the second or third home, the down payment could be much higher. Third, owning a home is a social necessity for an adult in China. When men and women are dating, they usually start the conversation by asking if you have already owned a home, especially the men. It is a major part of the criteria for evaluating a potential spouse. In China, when parents get older, they often move in with their children. Therefore, buying a home truly is a multi-generational affair, so parents would not hesitate to assist their children to secure an adequate house. If parents are not financially able to buy their kids a house outright, they will generally help with the down payment, or at the very least provide access to their social network to borrow the required funds. Once the down payment is accounted for, getting mortgages in China is relatively straightforward. If your monthly salary is at least twice the monthly mortgage payment, you can get a loan. Here are some interesting statistics. In China, only 18% of Chinese households have mortgages, compared with half of all homeowners in the US. China's home mortgage to GDP ratio was just 15% in 2012, whereas in the USA it was over 81%. Although monthly wages in China is relatively low, non-performance on mortgage is virtually unheard of. In 2013, the default rate was a mere 0.17%. I must emphasize that China's banks are fully owned by the Communist Party, and the social stability often takes precedence over the raw pursuit of profit. So their lending practices cannot be compared like for like against those of Western banks. Lastly, and more importantly, part of China's boldness when it comes to spending large amounts of money on housing comes from the assumption that the housing price will continue rising. Investing in housing market is no-brainer. There is a saying, low IQ, high return. However, the era of low IQ, high return is over. Today, housing is no longer the best investment commodity. Although China's Tier 1 cities still have room for price increases, but investment in real estate needs professionals. In other words, it needs high IQ now. The authorities have implemented policies such as live and do not speculate. Chinese real estate market has transitioned to buyer's market. Many investors have sold their holdings and are in search of their investment. Read my lips. China's stock market, bond market, mutual funds market will boom. I don't need a high IQ to make such prediction. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly.